Hey everyone, Sandy here with Bellerose Quilts. Welcome to week 6 of our quilting mystery sew along Christmas delight. And this week we are going to make the stockings that hang above our Christmas tree, 4 of them. And we're going to make the tree trunk of the Christmas tree. And I'm going to show you another way to make flying geese using the Creative Grids ruler. And thank you for joining us, and remember to subscribe and like this video, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. Adorable blocks we're going to be making this week. I've sewn 3 of them together, and I've saved the last one to show you guys. So they are, and this is how the block goes together. It's the ear E. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw some lines on the back of your K, which is this print right here. So let me move these over, and I think I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oh. Let's see. How's that? Can you see a little better? Yeah, so I have everything laid out. So I'm going to draw a line here. Corner to corner. And I'm going to take my B, and I'm going to glue it on the corner of my B. I left my pin in my other glue, and it turned my glue a dark brown color. Okay, so I glued that on there, and I'm going to sew on the line, and I'm going to do all of my gluing at once. I'm going to take my L, and I'm going to take an E and an F. I already drew my line on the F, and then my E, I have to draw my line on. I'm going to glue it on. Love this acorn glue. You don't need a lot of glue. I'm going to put this down here. And then I'm going to go over to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew on these lines. Okay. I'm just going to trim this off. Make sure you trim off the outside edge. And then I'm going to press my seams towards the outside corners. Just like that. So let me do that real quick. So now we're going to assemble the block. I'm going to sew my H to my J, and then I'm going to pin it. I want to make sure that my deer are facing in the upright position. Since this is a stocking, I'm going to pin both of these. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pin my A and my I together. Try to get all of the sewing, things that I sew together, done all at once. So I have to limit my trips to the sewing machine. And I'm going to attach my C to the bottom of the stocking foot, which is L. Sorry about my dog. She thinks I'm talking to her, and so she's talking back. I'm just going to pin it. So I have all of these. And then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew these together. I'll be right back. I want to point out that the instructions have little red arrows that tell you which way to press your seams. And so here I'm back here, and I have this unit, and I have the bottom of my stocking. So I'm going to sew these two together. Shh. I need a mute button over here. So now I'm going to run and sew these together. I'll be right back. This little block comes together pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these two bottom sections together so you can see where it lined up really nicely right here. You want this seam to line up with that. Lastly, I'm going to sew on the top piece, and then we'll sew the two pieces together. Okay. So here it is. I went ahead and I pinned the G unit on, and I'm going to go and sew that. Okay, here's our block, really cute. We're going to have a few more blocks that go in between these, so just so you can see what they look like. There's my, here, put this one here like this, so you can see them. There's my 4 blocks. They cute? Don't sew these 4 together though, okay? They're adorable, love them. Have fun. Well, let's move on to the next block. Now let's move on to our little tree stand right here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of my squares, and I'm going to use the flying geese ruler this time, but I'm going to show you a different way to make 4 at one time. Why am I doing that? I do not know. And I'm going to draw a line on the back of 4 of these. I accidentally cut into that, and I didn't want to cut another one. And what you're going to do is you're going to place one like this. And you can't use your glue. And then you're going to place one like this. And this is your cutting line. You're going to sew 1/4 of an inch on each side of the line. Can you see the line that I drew? It's not that dark, so let me see if I can make it just a little bit darker. Right there. Okay. Take my little pins out. And then I am going to cut on the line. And what you're going to get, oops. So this used to be called the Wangler method. I think that's because that's the person that devised it. We used to make our flying geese like this years and years ago, 30 years ago, I think I was doing it. But you make a little heart like this, and you're going to press your seams. You can press them open, you can press them that way. I just typically press mine like towards the points. So I'm going to go press these. So we have 2 hearts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this little line darker. I'm sorry, make sure you guys can see me. I have 2 more squares I'm going to draw the line on. think I might need a new pen. You're going to pin it right down here, and you're going to go sew again on each side of the line 1/4 inch, and then we're going to come back and we're going to cut on the line. It was the Wangler method, but we cut it to the exact measurements, so it still came out a little, you know, wobbly, kind of curvy looking. But now we have the Creative Grids ruler, and it makes it much nicer. Let me go sew this. Okay, so I'm back, and what I'm going to do is I am going to cut on the line, and you will see that that's our flying geese, but it's large and we have to trim it down. This is just a second method to make flying geese with the ruler, with the Creative Grids flying geese ruler. Your cutting measurements are the same as we did last time. I think it was week 3 where I showed you how to do flying geese. So I'm going to press these like this again. Okay, so I picked my size, and then I'm going to trim to the right and across the bottom. I need to get a sharper one. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to flip my ruler over. Now I know the left side and this bottom side have been trimmed, so I can line these up and I can line this up, and you can see they're going to come out really pretty. I'm going to trim this one up. Trim 2. Okay, there's my flying geese. And this is my block. And it is going to go like this. Now, the last thing we need to make is we need to make our ends of our spools which are half square triangles. So you're going to take your 2, let me get the right number, B and C, and you're going to draw a line on the back of 2 of them. It doesn't matter which color. And we're going to sew on both sides and cut them apart and then trim them down. There we are. So let me go sew them. Okay, now I'm going to trim these down to the right size. I showed you in more detail how to do this in lesson 2, week 2. I'm essentially lining the 45-degree up line on that center seam, putting my measurement in the corner and trimming. Okay. Now all we have to do is sew it together. We have our units that go like this, and our units go like this here. Let's zoom out a little bit. There you go. You can see my mess everywhere. Okay, and there's my geese. You can have your geese go up or down, it really doesn't matter. And then these are my two sides. So what I'm going to do is I'll sew these together in pairs, and I'll sew these together in pairs, and then I'll sew the two units together. I'm going to sew these to each side, and I'm going to sew this to this. So, okay, so I sewed it all together. You can do your geese like this, or you can do your geese like this. And we have a tree stand, and all kinds of fun things are going to go underneath it. Well, thanks for joining, and I will see you next week. Please remember to share this sew along with your friends, and come out and post your blocks in Quilting with Sandy, and also subscribe to our page, please, and like it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week.